What? Huh? Uh, oh. Good day, everyone, and welcome to Shadows of Doubt. So I've been playing a bit of this game. I really enjoy this game, partly because it is a game that kind of makes you think, although there are some repetitive aspects to it. Let's get some lights on in here. This place is a little bit on the dark side. So basically this is a detective game set in an alternate universe where basically it's 1907... Well, it's January of 1970 something. I can't remember exactly. I'm sure we'll get a reminder soon. Oh, we got a call here. Hello. Oh, that wasn't at all weird. So basically, this is a detective game set in an alternative universe where basically hyper-industrialization has occurred. We live in a city where pretty much it's ruled by it's the essentially the president is actually a company, Starch Cola, and we're a former police officer. Let's pull up our information here. Where was that? Yeah, basically, former police officer. Dedication to duty. Basically, we were pretty good at what we were doing. But now there are no more police here. There's what's known as the enforcers, which are basically useless in terms of solving stuff. So we are a private investigator now. So let's begin our investigation here. We've got this note here that's been slipped under our door, and it's asking us to find Onni Jöhnsson. So let's go ahead and pin some stuff here. This first case is called The Dead of Night. I am playing through basically the tutorial. I do know the tutorial, but what's interesting is there's different ways about going about the tutorial, so I figured I'd do something a little bit different to how I normally do it. So the next thing we want to do here to begin our little investigation here, we've gotten a name there. Let's try and figure out who is this person. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with this is a city directory, or as we might be more familiar with them, but only minorly so, a phone book. That's right, this is a thing. They're very good for bulletproofing cars, or so I've been told. Anyways, let's find Onni Jöhnsson here. So let's go to J. And okay, here's a Jöhnsson. Odds are this is them because they're the only one whose first name begins with O and is spelled that way. There's a couple Joneses. Wow, there's 3 Joneses. Interesting. And all of them begin with A. A Jones, another Jones, another Jones. I'm guessing that's their names. Anyways, we now have a location to check out there, but we first need to get some stuff before we do that. Oh dear, it appears the key to my old police stuff was lost in the move. Looks like we're going to be picking the lock there. So, lock picking is a pretty common thing in this game. So, lock picks in this game are pretty much a hairpin, and I thought I saw one over here somewhere. Oh, that's the key. I think that's the key for the apartment. Or a paperclip. Here's one, if I saw one. Now, I'm going to be honest. In my experience, paper clips actually work quite good at picking locks. Let's see here. Oh, here's another paperclip. So that's free lock picks there. Are there any others lying around? Any more lock picks for me to work with here? I'll be honest, I have yet to get the hairpin to work very well in my... most hairpins are actually too big for a lot of locks, so that's why I never understood the hairpin thing. But let's go here. So basically, unlike other games, lockpicking in this is pretty straightforward. You just have to have enough lockpicks and the time to do it. But it does consume the picks, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but we'll go with it. So we've got our detective stuff here. Let's close this up. So we can open up our case board here. And if we go to 802 Rose Building, we can actually use this to plot a route there. But before we do that, there's a couple other things I want to get. So this is something a lot of people probably skip over in the beginning of the game here. So I think it's probably best if I point this out. But if you look here, basically, our partner who has left us, before they left, they set the password to the safe as 1234. So if we go over to the safe here, and we put in 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, oops. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. We will find a code breaker. And basically what the code breaker is used for, if we have a lock like this one, we can attach the code breaker onto it. We can also use it with microcrunchers, which is basically the term for computer in this game. Let me sit down here. No, we don't actually sit down there like that. We just right-click. Yeah, right-click. And basically, if I didn't know my password like that, or the password for the account that I select, you can actually apply the microcruncher onto the keyboard, and it will crack that 4-digit code. Let's see here. What else? Ooh, what's this? A flyer. FPOWA, Former Police Officers Welfare Association. We're here for you. Free basic housing for those in need. For more information, contact Beth Gallagher. Please note, we no longer help with money or social credit claims. Now, there's a couple reasons why I read this flyer off, but one of them is at the very bottom there, and that's the one we're going to talk about. So, here's our money in the game. How much money you have. Very well said. Here's where it displays how many lockpicks we have. So we got 32 lockpicks. That's a good number. And here's what's known as social rank. Basically, as this is sort of like experience in the game. When we reach the max level, we will be allowed to retire to this very nice place. So, oh, that's just a sharpener there. I think we've got everything we need. But before we do, let's talk about the tools of the trade here, just a little bit. So we have coins that we can throw to use as a distraction. Can be useful in that. We've got our fists. They're an important tool of the job. We couldn't use our fists without opening that lock, by the way, you know, it's just how that works. We've got a watch, very important for keeping track of time in this game sometimes. And we got a print scanner. Seems very basic, but this we're going to be using quite a bit. We also had some handcuffs in there, and then of course I picked up the code breaker. I already explained handcuffs, or the code breaker. Handcuffs, do what they say. You can cuff someone, and we'll be cuffing some suspects. So first thing I'm going to do is let's get the fingerprint here. So you just scan a fingerprint, it shows up as type A. If we find another fingerprint, which is type A, it's going to be the same fingerprint. The next fingerprint we scan from someone, like this one, is type B. Alright, so these are not the same fingerprint. When we find someone, if we get someone's fingerprint somehow, we will then see that, oh, they have fingerprint type A, and then this will be forever known, hang on, type A will then be known as belonging to the person. So that's enough of an introduction there. Let us get to it. Okay, so here we are out on the mean streets of the city here, and I have to say, this is what makes the game interesting. Everything here is able to be generated, alright? Everything can be generated from essentially a seed, and randomly created here. Now this is a pre-generated world, and we're just going to play in this pre-generated world for now. After we've kind of completed the game, we can just, kind of do a free play of it, and I'll generate something for that. But yeah, everyone that you see here has their own lives, their own schedules. They all have their own fingerprints and all that good stuff, addresses, all these buildings we can go into. It is really impressive what they've done here. Now, the game is still in development, and there are some bugs with it, which is why I've held off. There was one annoying bug in particular that has been patched, and that's why I feel comfortable showcasing the game here, because it was causing some problems. Fortunately, it's been fixed, or so I've been told. Now, we could use the elevator here, but truth be told, I need this little extra time here to just kind of waffle on here and explain, just how dynamic this game really is. It does give you this feeling of a grungy city here. But we should be on the... Oh, one more floor. Oh, yes, vents. We'll go over vents when the time comes. Here we are, 8th floor, and we're in 802 here we're going to. So, interesting to note before we get going, there's all sorts of security measures in place. These are actually sentry guns that will target anyone who has been declared a threat. And we've got security cameras that will monitor and identify threats. These all can be disabled, such as right here. And there's also these little, in some locations, there's these security doors that will come down and lock off an area until the enforcers show up. So, here we are, 802 Rose Building. Let's go ahead and knock. Open up! Okay, no one's there. So, what you can do is... Oh my, look at this. We've already found something here. Well, this is not a good sign. 8mm cartridge found outside the apartment. What I was going to say is you can actually look under these doormats, and sometimes you'll find a key. You will get a key, since this is the first one here, and it's meant as a tutorial. One thing you should know is that once we walk in there, we will be trespassing, so... you have to actually try a door handle before you're able to unlock it, annoyingly enough. Let's just lock that again so no one disturbs us while we begin our investigation here.
Thanks, Gregory, darling.
Ooh, not a clean place, but that's about everywhere.
Thursday. Right. I'll call.
Okay, well, we've got a shotgun here on the floor. That's interesting.
Taxi.
Bedroom. So far, no signs of person we're looking for here. Oh, well, that's not good. Well, I do believe we have found a dead body. So let's begin by inspecting the deceased here. This is the deceased. We don't know who they are, but we can take a pretty good guess here. Let's take their fingerprint here. So they're going to show up here. If we hit F, actually, we're going to search the body here. So they were killed by 8mm or 932. Well, clearly 8mm, since we found the cartridge there. Let's resume our search of the body. So yeah, they were killed sometime between 15 minutes past midnight and 1:30. That's not I-30, that's 1:30. So all of this is useful information to pin here. Try and organize this as best you can, there's my advice. But their fingerprint has shown up as type C, so we have not encountered their fingerprints yet. So one of the first things you're going to want to do when you come into a place like this is, the enforcers, they might show up at some point. That's why I locked the door. That's going to slow them down a little bit and help us escape. As I said, we are trespassing. We do not want to get caught trespassing, so here's our escape route if necessary. Hopefully we'll finish up before they show up, though. So let's just do an investigation of the area. Let's try and find something like an ID here. Okay, so this is Onni Jöhnnsson's wallet. Just take another key. A little bit of a tip, this person is trying to help us solve their murder and stuff. So yes, what we have successfully done there. Let's minimize this stuff. So we now know that that is indeed Onni Jöhnsson there. What else do we have here? Work ID. They work at Goldborn Technologies. Let's kind of move that around there. They are an office manager. Interesting. Even more interesting is the fact that they have 2 work IDs, neither of which is in their wallet. So they work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. That seems pretty typical now, doesn't it? Let's move this over here. So as you can see, we're starting to build kind of an idea here about the victim. Come on. Oh, look at this. Aren't we lucky? Their safe code is 1428. Now, I believe I saw... There it is. There's a safe right here. Also, we can check it for fingerprints. There's some fingerprints on it, so let's go ahead and, get over here. Ooh, a type D fingerprint. We haven't encountered... So another new fingerprint here. Interesting. I'm willing to bet we're actually type B. I think we scanned our own fingerprint there. So that can be used as evidence there. Let's get rid of that. Let's put in 14... Oh, come on. I'm going to use my keyboard. There we go. Ooh, 196. Once again, taking this as a, a tip for solving their murder there. Always tip the person who's solving your murder. That's my advice. Okay, so here's a diary. Let's go ahead and just pin that immediately. Interestingly, just to kind of summarize what I've read here of it, there's two people mentioned in here in particular. There's this Kiara, who they seem to work with. So we'll pin that. They could be it. But there's also this Violet. And this is where it gets interesting because it seems he was... it's based off of the evidence here at the scene. Onni Jöhnsson has a criminal record. There's an insurance policy here that was declined. As well, he applied for some life insurance. It was declined because of his criminal background. So it seems he went straight as far as his criminal career there. But it seems that it's caught up because Violet has basically forced him back into the underworld of this city, which is much bigger than you'd think. It's a very dark place, this place. Hammer. Also the reason why they got this shotgun here. It seems Violet told him to get a shotgun. Yeah. That's regarding his former criminal background there as well. So, let's see here. One thing that you'll sometimes find is an address book like this. I always like to just instantly pin that. Actually, I kind of... Let's do that, yeah. That over there. Do a little organization. This is where, it's sometimes hard to organize things. So, basically, when you pin the address book here, where you have all the stuff in there, as you can see, Violet appears to live at 1202 Stubbs Deluxe. So, that's something we might want to look into. Meanwhile, Kiara lives at 402 Novak House, so maybe that's another place we want to head to. So let's pin both of these. Now, let's pick up the phone here, and we're going to dial to see what the last call they got was. Now, you could type in the number, you could memorize the number, or you can just go to numbers here, and it's 541 and all zeros. You can just hit enter phone number. Alright, so the last telephone number was 515-3499, and it came in at that time there. So let's organize here. If we go back to the address book here, what was, I went one too far, didn't I? No, two too far. 51934. So the last person to call was Violet. Interesting. It is kind of funny how some of this stuff works with not making connections there. I mean, technically we don't know it was Violet. All we know is that it was called from that phone number, which is written as Violet's. Okay, we have a crumpled paper here from the Jade King Lounge. And what's interesting about that is we have call me and then V. Not paid, added to tab. Interesting. Interesting. Let's do a quick scan here, because the murderer probably walked in, so... Oh, fingerprint type D again. So that's two of those fingerprints. We found that on the safe, and we found it on the door handle here. So that's something of note there. Uh-oh. The enforcers have shown up. See, this is why it's always good to have an escape plan here. Let's close that. I also found a receipt there in the trash there from Indigo Kitchen, but I don't know how useful that's going to be. So now we got to escape the building here, because we don't want to get caught at the scene there by the enforcers there. Basically, the enforcers are not going to do much. They're pretty... we don't want to drop down there. That's another person's apartment. One thing you can do here when you're crawling through vents, you can hit tab. So yeah, let's just keep crawling this way and maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe there's a vent we can exit out of nearby. This works, okay. But there's a lot of people. Let's wait until... Okay, there's a lot of people. What time is it? Alright, 2:52. Why are there so many people up at 2 in the morning? Almost 3. Okay, we have managed to get out of the building there. So the next thing we want to do is we want to head on over to City Hall. And there is a form there that we need to pick up. Basically, it's a murder case resolution form. And this is where we're going to put down all the information, such as who we think the murderer is, what they used for the crime. We'll go through it here. So let's pick one of those up. And this is basically what we have to submit in order to get paid for solving the crime. So we're going to collect one there. Now, if we open it up here, and we go to resolve, we'll see here we need to find the full name of the killer. Arresting the killer is optional. Do you have evidence that places the killer at the crime scene? Surprisingly optional. But you want to get all of these because if you do, this is an extra 500, this is an extra 350. Where does the killer live? So if you know the killer's address, which honestly, it's an easy 50. If you know the killer's name, you can figure out their address. Have you located the murder weapon? Optional. Again, that's 300 credits for that. Overall, most of this is pretty, sometimes the murder weapon can be a little bit difficult. I'm going to be honest. There are some cases where you just won't find the murder weapon because it's a knife, and there's like 20 different knives in the apartment of the murderer, and you have no idea what they used as the murder weapon. So, yeah, in that case, not so good. So, if I'm not mistaken, the next thing it's gonna... Yeah, so we now have some different options here. Normally, you aren't presented with this, but because this is kind of the tutorial, well, I should say it is the tutorial, you're going to be given different options here on what to do. Ooh, a paperclip. Ooh, a hairpin. So, we can investigate the phone calls, we can investigate the diner, or we can investigate the office. I'm going to disable leads for this, because we're going to be doing something a little bit... didn't really present this as an option there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here, and here's where things get interesting. I want to show this right off the bat. So if you go to this computer here in City Hall, you go over to these walls. Often people, like in real life unfortunately, happen to leave their passwords lying around. In this case, we can just go over to this computer right here. And if we hit Jasmine Ward admin and we put in 1921, we have just unlocked the administration there. We can get information on the person who is in charge of the Jasmine Ward here. You can always view basically, whoever's account you log into, you can view their profile, which surprisingly has their passcode. So sometimes you'll find a computer on, just click on the profile, you've got that information there. But here in City Hall, we can search the government database. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to put in Kiara's name. Okay, there are 3 Kiaras, so that's not a good start. Let's try Violet. Alright, so we've got 3 Violets. That's not great. Let's pull up Onni Jöhnnsson's. So, with the Alright, so this issue is still a thing where sometimes it doesn't want to print, but you can actually print it out. Pops out right here, right click, boom. We got, it just gives us a little bit more information on them. It's a good way of figuring out the fingerprints. So what we could do, and this feels a little bit cheaty, I could print out all 3 of those files, as well, all 6 of those, government files there on the 2, basically we could try and figure out Kiara from that and Violet from that there. But that I don't think is a good idea. Instead, we're going to, let's see here. Let's go to the office, because we're going to get at a guaranteed name on who Kiara is if we go through the office's files there on that.
You can run, but you can't hide.